Welcome to Remove Logic, everybody. This is your host, Karen Ray Lacey, and this is Remove Logic Radio. Why remove logic? Because God is not bound by logic or logistics, and we are here to help people that are stuck get unstuck. Talk about the things that possibly may hold you hostage and keep you from moving, be it some thoughts. Ideologies, practices, habits, whatever. We just come here to break free from those types of things. And I first want to start out by saying Happy Mother's Day. I know that Mother's Day is this weekend, and I'm excited about today's show. Excited about the guest on today's show. She's a mother, and today we are going to be talking um, about mothers, just paying homage to mothers and what it takes to be a mom, the things that we have to overcome to get our kids where, God has purposed them to be, nurture the gifts in them, and teach them that they are little overcomers because they come from big overcomers as mothers. So, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And without further ado, I want to bring in my guest. I know you see her sitting on the screen, but just to introduce her, Dietra Fleming. She is a wonderful mother.
Thank you.
Some of you know her as my cousin, but I shared with her the other day that we have moved beyond cousinry to
Mhm.
just honoring her as a mother. She's an awesome mother, I and a woman and a wife. Uh,
Thank
just
you.
just give her those accolades. But I'm excited to have her here. And the reason that I asked Dietra to come onto the show is because she is a mother of a child that has a disability. And so I just want her, because I see what she does, recognize what she does, and how much it takes for her to do and to be a mom of little Jalen, my little cousin. I call him J Boogie. But just want her to come on and just share with her just some insights on being a mother. A mother is hard. We know, it's not a burden. I tell my sons all the time, it is not a burden to be your mother. I love being a
Right.
mother. And, but just the things that we do as moms sometimes go unnoticed and sometimes are very underrated. She's a mom, and I've seen what she does. I hear what she does when we're talking on the phone, but just to recognize her as a mom and all that she does with Mr. Jalen. She has a daughter, Bailey. But today we're just kind of concentrating on Jalen. So without further ado, I just want to welcome Dietra to our show. Want to talk with you, Dietra. Just share a bit of your journey as a mother of a child with a disability as we see it and know it. And just kind of share where your journey started. And I'll interject maybe with some questions and some things that you shared that I know that some mothers are going to be encouraged by your story,
Mhm.
encouraged by your courage, encouraged by your strength, and encouraged by the fact that you just didn't settle for what was told to you when Jalen was born. So, without further ado, I'm just going to let Deetra go ahead and start.
Thank you. At first, I want to say thank you. I'm glad to be here. So thank you for inviting me to your show. Um, I have to say that Jalen did. Let me see how old he was. 4 months old when he was diagnosed with Sturge-Weber syndrome, and Sturge-Weber syndrome is a neurological, excuse me, disorder which affects your brain cells. And that causes you to have abnormal brain cells that grow outside of your brain. Some of the results of that could be seizures, developmental delays. It can cause you to have glaucoma, port wine stains. So there's a lot that goes into it, to having Sturge-Weber, which Jalen did have the port wine stains as well when he was born. We thought at the time that they were just birthmarks, but
Mm.
it was port wine stains. But you don't see them now because when he was like maybe 5 or 6 months old, we had laser surgery done on him, and it was like from here on down, and then he has some in the back of his neck, but that's where his port wine stains were.
Okay. Okay.
So it was, it was pretty scary in the beginning because we had never heard of Sturge Weber before. That was something very new to us. And we were told when he was, well, the first symptom that he experienced was a seizure. So,
Uh-huh.
that was real scary seeing a
Yeah.
4-month-old have a seizure.
Wow.
And it wasn't a grand mal seizure or anything, but Jalen's seizures where it's just where he would kind of look to the side and have a moment where it looks like he's staring, like he's stuck in a trance. So
Okay.
that's what his seizure was.
Okay.
So when he was in the hospital, we were told that he wouldn't walk, he wouldn't talk, he
Wow.
wouldn't have a conscience. Pretty much, they told us that the older he got, his life or the symptoms would get progressively worse.
Okay.
So, of course, we just, listening to the doctors, we just kind of positioned ourselves to believe that. And that's what we accepted. But by the grace of God, at 12 months old, Jalen walked. He did everything that he was supposed to do at that
Right.
age. He
Wow.
did walk at like a year old. He talked for the most part, but still he seemed to be, on schedule.
Right. So what
So
one of the things that when you talk about uh, no conscience, that what did that do for you just hearing that? Because that's just kind of hard to wrap my mind around to say that my child would not have a conscience. And talk a little bit about how you felt hearing that, and then what did you do? I guess to overcome the thoughts of the actual diagnosis itself. I know you said that he started walking, but there had to be something in you that just said, you know what, I'm not believing this, or we're gonna go past, the things that they actually said to say your child is not gonna have a conscience. Let's talk about that for me.
that was so devastating to hear, Karen.
Yeah,
Because of course, whenever you have a child, you just automatically want the best for your child, and
of course.
nobody anticipates that type of diagnosis for your kid, especially at 4 months old.
Right,
So, and to hear that, it was just hard to grasp, to because they told us at the time that Jalen would pretty much be a vegetable. So the
wow.
older he got, we just expected for his life to get progressively worse.
Mm,
And we just made arrangements, Bobby and I, to expect for his life to be that way.
wow,
And
wow.
it was just, it's like you go through this in stages, because when we first found out, the first thing to me that I experienced was, why my baby?
Yeah,
Why did this have to happen to my child? And
yes.
then the next phase was, why me? Why my family? Why did this have to happen to my family? Because
Yeah.
we're a blended family. So
Mhm.
we came into the relationship with Chance, and
Mhm.
Bobby has Denisha, and both kids were perfectly fine. So it was just very devastating to hear that,
Yeah.
that was his diagnosis. But, I give all respect to doctors. I think that's an amazing profession, but there's only one God, one doctor that has the final say.
Right.
And
Amen.
I, I think I was watching a sermon from Joel Osteen, and he
Uh-huh.
was talking from Proverbs 18:21, and he talked about death and life are in the power of the tongue.
Mm.
So I told Bobby then after I listened to that, I was like, you know what? We need to stop speaking that over Jalen because
Come on.
we were just planning, like, okay, well, when Jalen gets older, he'll be the kid that will never get to have his own space, or he'll never get to work, or he won't be able to drive. So we just need to plan for him to always be with us. Even
Right.
if when we get older and we want to downsize, we always need to make sure we have that space for Jalen because of what we were told. But I
Wow.
was like, Bobby, we can't keep, we're not going to keep speaking that over him. We're going to speak life over him. We're going to, just decree and declare that he's going to be okay, regardless of what it seems like now. We just have to believe that, that's not going to be the outcome for Jalen.
Right.
So
Right.
faith, yeah, that's what I had to hold on to. I just, because I had nothing else. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
faith.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So as a mom, okay, we you said that he started walking, and that was right on schedule because most children do start walking at about a year old, and they're taking
Mhm.
their first steps. So he already was moving in a direction beyond what the diagnosis would have said. And so
Mhm.
where did you find your encouragement? Did you celebrate those little moments, or how did you, again, as the journey goes, what did you do to stay on track beyond what was told to you when you took the steps of faith, when you heard the sermon from Joel Osteen? What did you do? How did you start your progress to watch your son?
We just kept moving forward. We kept staying in that place of faith, and we kept believing that regardless of what we saw, that he would be okay. Because even though he walked on time, but
Uh-huh.
there was still always we would always hear from his neurologist that it's good that he's doing these things, scared because, like, we were told for a milestone for him, like at age 6, he would start to regress. He would start to go back to end up being a vegetable. So it was a process, but it was just faith, just celebrating the small steps, because we had to celebrate everything. Whatever he
Yes.
did, it was
Yeah.
like a reason to celebrate, even
Yes.
though that was always in the back of our minds. Like, okay, well, he's 2, but we still got to prepare for when he turns 5 or when he turns 6, because
Wow.
that's when the regression is going to kick in. But
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
So let's fast forward to 6. What did 6 birthday, what was that like for you? And then going after 6, when you went to 7, I mean, just kind of talk about, your expectations. Were you in a place where you still, I'm remembering what the doctor said, but this is not looking like what the doctor said. Let's tell me about
Mhm.
those moments from 6.
From 6, it was a little more encouraging. It was like we could exhale a little more at that point, because
Yeah.
we weren't seeing, a lot of things that the doctor said. Now, mind you, Jalen does not, thank God, when he was in the hospital the first time when he was 4 months old, they gave him topramate. So that was the
Hmm.
medication that he had to have that prevented him from having seizures.
Okay.
By the grace of God, Jalen has not had a seizure since he was 5 years old.
Wow, Dietra, I didn't know
Yes,
that.
he has not
Wow.
had a seizure since he was 5. So thank God, that doesn't affect him. Now, that's another thing with Sturge Weber. You can have deformities. And if you ever have
Hmm.
a chance to look it up, I wish I had some pictures, but you can see from their website where adults and children have suffered with deformities. But
Okay.
Jalen did not get that. He was blessed not to deal with the seizures, but where it affected him most is with the developmental delays.
Okay.
So when he was in kindergarten, he did have to stay in kindergarten another year
Okay.
because he wasn't ready to go back. So that's he's still, even though we celebrate where he is and we're thankful for what he's doing, because of course, like now he's working.
Yeah.
But he's just
I
but he's
know
not.
he's the most amazing kid. His personality. I always laugh at him because he's like a little old man. But and I affectionately call him J Boogie because he just lets out these little quips. He's very his wit is like very quick, and it's like
Mhm.
when he says things, it's like a little old man to me, and so I just
Yeah.
call him Jay Boogie. Um, where did you find support as a mother? Where did you find your support personally or for your child? What did you do to find support for you and for Jalen?
Thank God we had so many. When they say it takes a village,
Yeah.
we had so much family and friends that gave us just a massive amount of support. So we always had support with family and friends, people always being encouraging, my parents, Bobby's mom, everybody was very supportive.
Oh,
Frankie, our aunt, she kept him when I went back to work. Um, but at the time, Facebook was just coming out because that was in
mhm.
2006.
Uh-huh.
So I think the only social media space or platform that was out there was probably MySpace at the time.
Okay.
And I just wasn't a huge social media person. I'm still not really today. So I really didn't, even though we had the massive support, which we greatly appreciated. For me, I still felt alone in the sense that I didn't have anyone else that I could talk to that had a child that had Sturge Weber
Okay.
because it was such a rare syndrome. And the
Wow.
things that Jalen was going through, we were always like, man, I wish we could talk to somebody else that had a kid with Sturge Weber.
Yeah.
Um, I talked to his neurologist and I asked her if we could, possibly come up with some type of group for, children with Sturge Weber. But of
Uh-huh.
course, we couldn't do that because that violated HIPAA laws. So she
Okay.
couldn't give me, any information on other patients. So really, I did. I felt alone in that sense
Oh,
because I didn't have anyone else that I could bounce questions off of. Like, is your kid doing this? Because
yeah.
my son is doing this. What is your child doing? So
Right.
we didn't have that. So, but
So what
yeah.
did you do and not having that? Because I know like to the normal mothering would, like you said, hey, my child is doing this. What did your child do? So what
Mhm.
did you do? How did was it just you and Bobby and you guys just rallied around, and with the tribe or the village that Jalen has? Is that all the support that you had? Was it church or where else did you go? Did you, and your research, did you find anything?
It basically it was family.
Okay.
It was church a little, but we weren't going to church like we, should have been at the time. But
Okay.
I did use my resources. Now, we were given a lot of resources when he was in the hospital. Like there's a program called ECI,
Uh-huh.
which is Early Childhood Intervention.
Okay.
So that's a service that would come to your home free of charge. So they would come to Frankie's while she was keeping him, and they offered physical therapy, speech therapy, other programs that they would do outside of the home where he could go and participate. So yeah, we just use those types of resources and family.
Okay. One
Yeah.
second.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
Now,
okay.
another question. How did this impact your family?
My maternal grandmother had
Hmm.
epilepsy,
Okay.
so we were familiar with seizures, even though
Okay.
I had never seen her have a seizure. But it was it you know like I said earlier, it was just devastating because that's just not something that we thought would happen to our child.
Right.
So yeah, but it did. It just caused us to rally together. We understood that we had to stick together and just go through the process, stay in prayer,
Yeah.
just try to be as positive as we could, because of course it's easy. The enemy will lead us to believe in a heartbeat that because I even went through that. There were times when he was a baby where I felt like, which was nothing but the enemy, but still,
Yeah.
honestly, I had
Yeah.
the thought, was there something that I could have done to cause this? Or why did this have to happen to my child?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
And those are normal questions with anything,
Mhm.
as we know that we've just come through COVID, and those were disruptions, for us. And so to think of something coming, you having a baby, and it's not what you thought that the life of this child would be, and then
Right.
it had to disrupt and impact, how you thought about it. So to say
Mhm.
you had those moments, I'm sure that that's normal, is what I'm saying. I know that sometimes there's a guilt in feeling that kind of way, and to say,
Mhm.
why my child, or why me, and why our family.
Yeah.
Sometimes that there's a guilt in a natural response to something,
Mhm.
like a child having a disability, and something that you just don't know about. So
Mhm.
what were some of the things that your memorable moments for Jalen, or some milestones that you remember as mom? Just, I know that he's what, 16 now?
17.
17. Okay.
Mhm.
So just that in itself, as we're talking about being a mom and knowing what the doctor said at 4 months old, and what you were
Mhm.
anticipating at 6 years old, a
Mhm.
obvious decline is what they said to you. But then now you look at your son and he's 17. I mean, that's just, I mean, off the page, has to be something for you that every time you look at him, you're looking at a miracle.
Mhm.
I remember talking to you years ago, and you were talking to a woman that told you that you have to be your child's advocate. You are his
Mhm.
advocate.
Mhm.
Tell me about that moment and what that said to you. What did it turn on for you? Because I know, I mean, we're mother bears, we're mama bears, is
Mhm.
what we're often referred to. And my sons are adults, and I'm still their advocate.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
still in their corner. I'm still, pushing, still praying, just whatever. Because if they need something, I'm there, not overbearing, but I'm their advocate. I
Right.
am their advocate. So what did that do for you when she said that to you?
Well, first I have to back up a little bit because his teacher told me at first, when she was getting ready to retire, she was like, Dietra, I just want to let you know that I'm retiring, and I want you to search for an advocate for Jalen. And
Hmm.
she was like, he'll always need an advocate to be with him to make sure that he, just has everything that he needs. So I am searching online, searching for advocates for special needs children. So
Uh-huh.
I never could really find anything. So maybe about a couple weeks later, it was time for him to go to his neurology appointment. And I remember talking to the nurse, and she is the one. She was like, Jalen's teacher told me that I need to find an advocate for him. And she looked at me so strange, and she was like, well, Miss Fleming, I think you would be the best advocate for Jalen that he could ever have. And I was like, well, if that's the case, he already has an advocate. I've been his advocate from day one.
Yes.
So it is, there are so many moments, like even as far, like I said a few minutes ago, him not having a seizure, Jalen has been healthy. Outside of his developmental delays,
Yeah.
he's like the picture of health, but he's he's a hard worker. He has a sweet spirit.
Yeah.
Um, that's our biggest thing because I've seen it in situations before. So I just wanted to make sure that Bobby and I both, we wanted Jalen to grow up and have a life as normal as possible. Because as a mama bear, as you said a few minutes ago, it's easy to, because honestly, that was my first thought. I wanted to just protect Jalen, keep
Yeah.
him under my wings, keep him in a bubble, keep him safe at home. But that's not always the best thing.
Right.
So, being willing to let him get out there and do other things was great. It was great to see him play softball. I put him
Right.
in softball, we put him in soccer. So and he enjoyed those things. So
Yeah.
those have been just monumental moments for me. So I'm proud that he's overcoming, Sturge Weber. He's not walking around like he's sick or, on his last leg. He's doing well. So
That's
yeah.
good. That's good.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
what did you find to be some of the misconceptions of raising a child with developmental needs? Were there any misconceptions that you found, the people, how they treated you or treated Jalen, even in school? Were there any misconceptions that you can address?
No, not really. I think that one of the biggest issues was me. Now I found that in some cases, like when we will go out, like I put him and Bailey in swimming because
Uh-huh.
I wanted them to, just experience just about whatever he wanted to try, we were willing to let him test it out. So, but I did catch myself. I found myself whenever I would bring him around certain people or new people,
Uh-huh.
that didn't know him, I would feel like I had to address,
Oh, wow.
his
Yeah.
what was going on with him. Like, let me tell them first before they see it on their own, or let me tell them first before they have an opportunity to ask me about it. So that was one thing that I had to stop doing because I didn't have to explain what was going on with Jalen. It's like I just learned to accept him and to celebrate him for who he is.
Yeah. And you gave him the grace to be Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
Just who God made him to be in spite of a developmental
Mm-hmm.
challenge. One of the things
Right.
that I can say as your cousin and watching you is that you do give him this room to grow, and I see sometimes your apprehensions, and I remember you asking me one time to go over and to get him what to be there for him after school. And I said, I think Jalen is ready. I think you're not ready. So
You had to talk me off of a ledge on that one. I was not ready for Jalen to be home by himself.
and and he did so good. I mean, he is just
It's
he really
so
is, not to
good.
just say, but I just remember that, and you were like, I'm just not ready, and I was like, I think that Jalen is ready to be home by himself after school, and
Mm-hmm.
understandably, you do. We're protective anyway, as
Mm-hmm.
moms, very protective,
Yeah.
and you do want them to be accepted, understood, as well
Mm-hmm.
as protected. So I can understand,
Mm-hmm.
just wanting to tell somebody, hey, this is what's going on with Jalen. But Jalen
Yeah.
is far beyond. And I know that I say that again that he is, but it has to have come from you and Bobby giving him the support. I like what you said about whatever he wanted to try, you gave him the opportunity to try it, and so
Mm-hmm.
he did not have a logic of limitation. You gave him a
Yes.
logic that it was unlimited, and he was able. And
Mm-hmm.
I like that about the way that you guys parent him. It comes
Thank
across
you.
just from the things that you do. I'm always you told me, I think not long ago, when you said Jalen was working, and Jalen has had what, 4 jobs in
Oh, girl. He works through the Texas Workforce Commission, and they have an amazing program where they will pick up the children from school with special needs. They provide a coach, and the coach stays with them at work. But Jalen has worked, he has been in each session lasts like 12 weeks.
okay.
So since he's been doing it, he has worked at uh, Dollar Tree, Old Navy, the YMCA, the Marriott Hotel, CVS, and Applebee's. So yeah, he's had 6 locations that he's been at so far. He
And
has done.
I call him the working man. He is always working. But that in itself, that's a tribute to you as mom, because
Thank
you
you.
search out programs that will facilitate him having a life, hey, a normal teenager has,
Mm-hmm.
working on a
Exactly.
job after school. So he is so not in a place where, we know special needs, but he is beyond that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's because you give him those moments, the opportunities, you search out programs. Is it anything that you would say to a mom that maybe hasn't doesn't feel like she can access maybe some of the programs, or her child maybe is not going to have the moments that Jalen has had? What would you say to a mom that is raising a child with special needs?
Well, I would say to celebrate that child for who they are. And just be willing, of course, to always stay in prayer, to have faith, and to just be open to trying new things, because there's so many programs out there, like you just mentioned. There's Special Olympics, art, art
Mm.
classes,
Uh-huh.
food classes, where they can learn how to cook. So, I think that would be the biggest thing that I would like to encourage a mother to do, is to be willing to think outside of the box.
That's
Don't let that child be limited by their disability. Of course, I can understand if there's, some things they may not be physically able to do. Then of course, if you have a child in a wheelchair, I wouldn't encourage you to put them in swimming. I can understand that. But yeah, I would just say don't put any limits on them. Let them be free to live outside of the box if it's possible.
Yeah, I like that, to not put limits on them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, you know, looking at reading information, all of that, logically there are
Mm-hmm.
limitations. But if you take
Mm-hmm.
those limitations away, then you get to see, what the child has to offer, what it is that he's not in a box. And you're not putting limitations on him.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives him the ability to shine, and that's what I've always seen you do with Jalen. And he's just, I don't know, he's my J Boogie, so I don't even know what else to say about it. But it's an attribute to you as a mom. It really is. How do you balance it
Oh,
out?
thank you.
You're welcome. How do you balance out being a mom to Jalen? How do you balance that? Because I know we have little Bailey there. We don't want to forget about Bailey, but how do you balance out caring for Jalen, or how have you had to learn how to balance it
Oh, it's pretty easy. I just make sure that I try to be fair, in any given situation. It's funny that, oh, let me see. I think it was about maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. Bailey came to me and she asked me if Jalen was special needs,
Uh-huh.
and that really surprised me for her to say that. But I'm sure I asked her why, and she said that she had watched some kids at her school and they kind of reminded her of Jalen.
Wow.
So I just try, yeah. So I noticed on a different occasion, after we had this conversation, Bailey and I, we had gone to, what was it, Dave and Buster's, and her and Jalen were playing basketball.
Uh-huh.
So, cheering Jalen on, and it just seemed like it was just a little too much. And I pulled her to the side later on, and I was like, Bailey, you have to remember that you don't have to treat your brother any differently. He's still your brother, but he
That's
doesn't
true.
need any, extra attention. Just
Right.
treat him like Jalen. So
Right.
that has always been our biggest thing. We don't want to make him feel like he has special needs. He's just Jalen. We're
Yeah.
aware of, what's going on with him. Of course, everybody in the family knows, but we don't treat him that way. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
that's
that's
it all.
beautiful that she wasn't even aware until she saw
Hmm.
other children, so that even your household, the family dynamic is one of normalcy, where you
Yes.
don't bring the attention to it or make him feel like he's less than, or we have to do
Hmm.
something totally special because Jalen's here. So
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing for her as a sister to even try to understand, but even more that your household is full of that type of normalcy or normal dynamic where she doesn't have to feel like is even pushed to the side, or I have to do something extra because Jalen
Right.
is this. That's a beautiful family dynamic. And I
Thank
love
you.
that. I like that. You've never told that to me, so I'm just that really touched my heart. Um,
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the resources that you have found to be very helpful in Jalen's journey that you might want to share?
Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, ECI, that was a wonderful program because they work with children as early as birth up until I believe it's 4 or 5 years old. It's a free service. They come out to your home and they offer therapy, speech, physical therapy, which Jalen right now is still in speech therapy at
Okay.
school.
Okay.
Um, Let me think. What else? Oh gosh. Of course, in anything that the school offers. His counselor I always work with at his high school. She's always giving me information. I'm gonna have to give you that information, Karen, so you can
Okay.
plug it in because I have several different links that
Okay.
I could provide, with a lot, I mean, a plethora of good information
Okay.
for,
Please do.
assistance for children.
Okay.
Okay, I
Now
will.
I do have the Sturge Weber website on the screen for those that may need it. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about your book. Dietra, a few years ago, that she told me that she wanted to write a book so that she could bring attention to Sturge Weber. There's a book that she wrote, and some of the proceeds she wanted to go to the Sturge Weber Foundation. So just to bring awareness to Sturge Weber. So if you do, you have your book there?
Yes, I do.
What's the name of your book, Deetra?
It is called Living with Sturge Weber Syndrome, Jalen's Story.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, one
And
of
it
the
is on
things.
Amazon.
It's on Amazon. It is. And so if you guys want to purchase Dietrich's book, I also will put that out on our Facebook page, our Remove Logic Facebook page, just so that you can just support her. Now, one other question, I know that we're getting close to our time. What aspirations, as we talk about Jalen's story,
Mhm.
what aspirations do you have for Jalen and his future?
Oh, Jalen wants to do so much. He wants to pattern his life after Chance, his older brother.
Uh-huh.
He wants to do everything that Chance did. He wants to go to Prairie View.
All right, Jalen.
He wants to have a Honda Civic because Chance had a Honda Civic at one point. So, but I'm open. I'm just here for it. Whatever Jalen wants to do. I did look into a program that they have at TCC
Okay.
where when he graduates, he can attend college.
Wow.
So, yeah, so he will. Jalen, with the developmental delay, of course, he won't be able to drive like at 18, but he'll still be able to do that, like maybe a few years from now. So he does have driver's ed in his future.
Wow.
He's going to keep working and just whatever Jalen wants to do. We are here for it. We're ready.
I love that. Absolutely love it. Just the idea that you just give him all the room just to be and to become everything that he has the
Mhm.
opportunity to be. I just love that. So
Yes.
I wish that we were recording while Jalen was home so he could peek in
I know.
and everybody would get to see my little J Boogie. So so yeah, but I certainly want to just thank you, Dietra. I honor you for the mother that you are.
Oh,
Um,
thank
it's
you.
it's been, I know I'm big cousin. I'm the
Hmm.
older grandchild of the grandchildren. Um, but Dietra, what we're 7 years apart,
Hmm.
7 years apart.
Hmm.
And we have so many stories of when we were
Yes.
children and how she was the pesky little cousin. But but she is just she is adorable to me. I adore her as a mom. I tell her that we've exceeded cousinry. We're just friends
Hmm.
and we laugh and talk together. But I certainly wanted to invite her on to be able to share her story about being Jalen's mom and what the journey has been like. Because I just believe that so many women will be helped by your story. Just the idea
I
that
hope so.
you're open to get out, and and sometimes there's it's a silence when you are raising a child with any type of disability, and you
Hmm.
just kind of want to shut yourself in and shut your child in. But I've seen you push Jalen, he's out, you trust him with others. And I know
Hmm.
that's another thing too, to trust your child with someone else. But you have done such a wonderful job with Jalen, and the fact that he's going to be, is he graduating high school next year, this
He'll
year?
be graduating next year. Next
Next
year.
year. Yeah, yeah. So look,
Hmm.
those, I mean, just so many milestones. The fact that he's working on a job, Dietra has done so many little things that I've seen, and we laugh about when Jalen was going to be working at Applebee's. She sat everyone at the table and taught Jalen how to pour water. So there's just the little things that she's done, that she's very attentive to the detail of who he is, and whatever his needs are, she just goes above and beyond. So I say this to you as a mom, just thank you for sharing your story. Thank you so much for coming on to Remove Logic. I pray that some women, some mother somewhere will be helped and encouraged by just what you've done in your journey with Jalen. And so I
Oh,
also, we're going to put the book out there. So you guys make sure that you stop over at Amazon and purchase Dietra's book, Jalen's story. Also, we're going to put information out there about Sturge Weber and some of the foundations and support groups and some of the support information that Dietra
Mhm.
has used to help with Jalen's story. And so just thank you, Dietra, for coming and sharing with us your story as a mother, um, being a mother of Jalen. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate that.
You're welcome. And happy Mother's Day to everybody. Thank you so much for
Yes,
joining
happy Mother's
in.
Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for joining us on Remove Logic Radio. This is the place where you come to get unstuck. So, mothers, if you are stuck and just need some information, hopefully this has helped you. Maybe if you needed some encouragement, hopefully this has inspired you. I
Mhm.
just think that this is going to be something that's just going to bless a lot of mothers out there. So thank you again,
Yes.
Dietra, and I look forward to seeing Jalen graduate next year.